Hi guys, it's me George, and today I wanted to talk to you all about something that occurred to me the other day. So, to go into it a little bit, a couple of days ago, I was doing, well, actually, yesterday, I was doing an auto tour video, and I ended up being like half an hour doing this video, actually blethering away and talking about different sort of points. But the points I come up with, I really felt like there needed to be a separate video alongside this auto tour video. Now, firstly, one of the things I realized is that no one really does auto tour videos anymore, or at least the channels that I subscribe to on YouTube. It's not normally a thing that's done. I think about 2010, 2009, there was just this like mad explosion of auto tour videos. It was really strange. But nevertheless, I absolutely loved it and I really enjoyed watching them because I'm quite nosy. Um, but it did make me think of something that and express something that I feel has happened to me for a couple of years, more than a couple of years actually. And I feel like I'm at a point where, for me, I want to do this video to log it for myself, but also in case anybody else is going through this, I really hope someone just watches this video and the penny drops and it stops that kind of behavior. Is that I'm going to take this moment to be completely opaque and transparent with you guys, and I'd like to think that throughout my videos I am quite a truthful person, and I am quite truthful. I don't shy away from the truth. That's something that means quite a lot to me. So I feel like for me, I've reached a pivotal point of my practice. Um, I have had throughout the years a really bad problem when it comes to an aspect of my practice. For absolute years, I have been a victim of altar envy. No, I'm not taking the piss. I'm being completely and utterly honest with you all. I had really bad altar envy, to the point where I would go and visit friends, and the next day I would come back and I would redo my altar. It would have to be redone. I would have this, even social media. I mean, I think that social media, first and foremost, has a lot to answer for because I feel like it exploits every different aspect of our life, down to our bodies, down to our physical face, our appearance, down to our what we have in our life, down to what we don't have in our life, trickling down even more so and poisonously into our spirituality. And so by doing this video, I feel like maybe I can take the poison out a little bit and hopefully help someone. But social media did have an effect on how I portrayed and the mindset I had as of my altar, and I'm going to explain. Now, first and foremost, this didn't affect my own personal practice. I would still have, relationships with spirits like I do now. I would still cast successful spells and charms that didn't necessarily impact that. But what it did impact was the fact that, honestly, after seeing my friends, I would come home and it would be like fucking changing rooms. It would honestly be like 60-second makeover in an altar edition. And it just got ridiculous. I would, even seeing someone's altar online, I would be like, oh my God, that's so amazing, that's so beautiful, and being like, right, no, you need to do better. Your altar needs to look a certain way. It can't look like that. It has to look a certain way. And I flipped and flopped with everything, really, with every idea. I was like, well, maybe in the lighter half of the year, I can have like a white cloth, and then maybe the darker half of the year, I can have like a black cloth. I then put the white cloth on my altar, and I was like, fuck, it looks like a Mesa Blanca, like an Espiritismo altar. And I was like, no, that's not what I'm going for. It has to look a certain way. And that was part of what I was guilty of as well. For me, personally at the time, it had to brackets look like traditional witchcraft. I was practicing traditional witchcraft, so it had to look like traditional witchcraft. And I remember different blogs that would come out, and none of these blogs meant any of this. I'm sure they didn't, but there were very well-known blogs that I would look at the altars and be like, oh God, come on, your altar needs to be better. What is that? What is it? Honestly, it was so bad. It was so, so bad. It was really erratic. It was a little bit fruity, to be honest. But I feel like we are all guilty of this. We've all been guilty of this in the past. And the more and more I spoke to other practitioners, other witches, all of them have said, yeah, I've done that. I've compared my altar to other people's altars, and I've compared that and changed it. And I have been guilty of putting certain things on my altar so that it looks the part rather than the fact it even plays a part. You know, for instance, I would always be very much about a black tablecloth. It had to have a black tablecloth. It had to look like witchcraft. It had to look the part. It had to have a black tablecloth. It had to have all of the skulls, all of the skulls. And there were certain points during that period where I did like my altar, but then in a couple of months' time, it would just be switched up again. And altars change. If you have an altar, they do change, because ultimately we change. We change as people. Our practice changes. We incorporate different tools, different techniques over the years, and without change, you don't have growth, you don't have development. So change is necessary. And when our altars change, that's what it should reflect, not comparison to other altars. It shouldn't reflect that. It shouldn't reflect to how it needs to look to other people, and to what it needs to reflect is your personal practice, because it is your altar. It's no one else's altar. And I feel like, as I said, everyone's been guilty of this in the past. Black tablecloth, loads of skulls. Now, don't get me wrong. If you have an altar that has a black tablecloth, that has loads of skulls, that does look the part, there is nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with that at all. I don't think you're doing anything wrong at all within your own practice, and that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, when you put things on because you feel like it needs to look a certain way, because you are comparing your practice, your altar, to someone else's altar, that's not healthy. Because you're trying to make it resemble someone else's altar. That's not your altar. That's their altar. It's not yours. You are you, and there will only ever be one of you. So make it your own, because that is your own personal practice. And there is absolutely nothing wrong in that. There really is nothing wrong in, don't be afraid to make your altar your own. Because when I practice, I am going to no one else's altar, not Fran's, not fucking Cindy Lou down the road, not fucking Macy Lou. It's my altar. It's no one else's altar. It's my altar. And yes, of course, there are things there that represent my tradition. That is important. I have a stand. I have a rose skull. I have certain things there that are traditional witchcraft, but it is my traditional witchcraft. And so if you have an altar that there are things on and you practice traditional witchcraft, remember, it's not anyone, that particular type of altar setup you have, that particular type of practice you have, it's not anyone else's traditional witchcraft, it's your tradcraft. So make it you, make it your own. And I honestly feel like I've reached a point where, I don't know if it's through exhaustion, probably, but it's gone. I don't have it anymore, and for me now, there is nothing more that brings me so much fucking joy. I still love looking at people's altars, but I don't allow myself to get inflicted or exploited in any way, shape, or form about someone else's personal altar. That's their altar. That's not my altar. And it's funny because a couple of days ago, about a month ago, I looked at my partner and I said to him, I was like, I'm really feeling this like beautiful like silk mad tie peacock throw over my altar. And he was like, what? I was like, I'm just really feeling those colours right now. And he was like laughing, like, what the hell's wrong with you? And I did. I went and bought myself a gorgeous silk tie scarf that is like a teal blue colour that is absolutely beautiful. It's stunning. But there is nothing there that you would say is traditional witchcraft, whatever that looks like. But it's my altar cloth now, and it's stunning, and I love it, and I feel like it represents me. Blue to me personally is my own, it's as well as my favorite color. It's a color I associate with my own empowerment, with my own personal power. Blue to me means power, it means self empowerment, it means sovereignty to me. That's what it means to me personally. And there are things on that also represent and go hand in hand with my practice, but it's also a representation of me. And yes, like I said, there's a stang there. Yes, there's a skull there. It's traditional witchcraft, but it's very much my traditional witchcraft. I've made it my own. Do not be afraid to make your altar your own. And sometimes, when it comes to creating an altar or forming an altar, as you can imagine, with what I've opened up about, I've had so many different altars over the years. But the one I have now, it's not a huge table, it's not a huge thing. And it's funny because my partner literally is like, George, we can go and get you, we'll go and get you this huge table and we'll get you this, and it will be all these compartments for your altar so you can have like a bigger altar set up, rah, rah, rah. And I was like, no. He was like, what? I'll buy it for you. I'll get it for you. And I'm like, thank you, but I don't need that. And I don't want that. I have a small table. It's not a big table at all. And I'm happy with that. That honestly works for me on a monumental scale that I've never been so comfortable with before. And it's perfect. Um, I don't want a bigger altar table. And again, there's nothing wrong with a big altar because that is your practice. If your practice is a big altar, and don't get me wrong, I love a fabulous big altar. Absolutely. So there's nothing wrong with them. I have some friends that have gorgeous, stunning altars. There is nothing wrong with that. But for me personally, within my own personal practice, I love my wee table. I love it. I can sit down. It's a perfect height where I can move my hands about. I can just go to it and it feels empowering. It feels incredible. And I feel like I've reached a point within my practice where I'm able to be like, yeah, that's a lovely altar, that's a lovely altar, but this is my altar and it's more than lovely because it speaks to me on a monumental scale, and it's amazing and it's incredible because it works so well for me. And that makes me so happy. You've no idea how much fucking joy that brings to my life, genuinely. Because I think it's an important conversation to have. We are all guilty of it. I think we've all done it as practitioners, especially in regards to traditional witchcraft, because I feel like there was a boom in social media of traditional witchcraft. And I think ultimately social media can have that exploitative element to it. But it's funny as well because one of the things that Kellyanne Maddox was saying in a video, I can't remember when, but it really resonated with me what she said actually. And Kelly, if you're watching this, hey babe. But I absolutely loved what she said. And she spoke about the altar, in the evenings, sometimes we've had a long day at work or there's been a lot going on. We're like, oh God, I have to go and do a ritual. And all I want to do is just put my pajamas on and chill and just fucking chill out. It's been such a hard day, but I need to go here and I need to give like loads of energy to this altar and I can't be bothered. But actually, we need to stop thinking of the altar as a place where we go to give energy. Actually, we go to the altar to get back energy. We can go to the altar for empowerment, for self-empowerment. And, we don't just go to the altar to give all our energy. We go to get some back. And for me, my altar acts as something that is fundamentally crucial to myself, because it is amplification of my own personal practice, but it's a place I go to recharge. It's a place I go to self-empower. It's a place that I go and I'll do meditation there. I meditate daily. I'll go and do some Kabbalistic work there. As you guys know, I've been working with the Hermetic Kabbalah, which I will do another video about actually, because I feel like I want to talk about some experiences I had. But, it is a place I go to give energy. I go there to work folk magic. I go there to practice operative witchcraft and folk magic and British folk magic, 120%. Um, but it's also a place I go to do rituals for the full moon or the dark moon or with my working group, or solo. For me, the altar is a place I go to recharge, to repower. So in order to do that, that has to represent an element and an aspect of me, you know. It doesn't look like anyone's altar and it never will do because it's my altar. And yeah, I love that. I absolutely love that. And I think that I wanted to do this video because if it helps someone else, as I said, if it helps draw that poison out, because there is a poisonous movement with that kind of social media exploiting every aspect of our lives and constantly pushing this aspect of consumerism. If you buy this, then you'll be the witchiest witch to ever witch, and if you do this, then you'll be more spiritual. And it doesn't work like that. It's you. It's your own personal path. It's your spirituality. So for me, my tradcraft is my spirituality. So it needs to represent me. And I feel like I really have given sovereignty onto myself and stopped something in its tracks and shot it dead, quite frankly, because it's something that I felt for ages. And it sounds kind of crazy, but I feel like a lot of people have experienced this. And if you are experiencing this, I really hope this video helps and you are not alone. You are really not alone. Like I said, it didn't necessarily at the time affect any spell work. It didn't affect any relationships with spirits, nothing like that. It just made me feel a little crap, and I don't think that that's a good thing at all. And it made me spend loads of money into different, I bought massive cabinets with glass shelves on them. And, I remember going to a friend's and they had a huge display cabinet, and I came back and I was like, right, I'm getting a display cabinet. And I did, a huge display cabinet in my room. And now, from going to all of that to these grand things with jars of herbs labelled and having to look the part, to now my shoe boxes with my herbs in, with my powders, with my animal parts, with my bones, my stones, my fossils, and all the things that I need, my oils and my incenses, but with my wee altar set up, and I love it. And I am going to do a video tour of it, as I mentioned, but it is perfect, and that's what I absolutely love. That's something that really has brought me a lot of joy recently. So please do not be afraid to make your altar your own. It doesn't have to be big, it doesn't have to be spooky, it doesn't have to be a certain way. Yes, if you practice that certain tradition, of course you're going to put things that have symbolism attached to that, but make sure it's symbolic to you. Make sure it's something that is symbolic to you and it works for you, because it is your spirituality, it is your altar, And I just wanted to say that. Another thing as well, and I will stop talking in a minute because I do fucking go on, is that, you don't necessarily need an altar to witch, to cast magic, to work operational folk magic. You don't need an altar. Some people don't want an altar, and that is okay. That is absolutely okay. But I just, if you look at older terms, you have cunning folk that would work off the lands, like literally would work off the land. I think I might have repeated that already. I don't know. I've done this video about 7 times, but this is the last one I'm going to post. I've made up my mind. But yes, I'm going to stop rambling. I hope this makes sense. But honestly, I wanted to document this because it feels so good. I feel like I've reached a point within my own practice where I'm like, no, this is working for me and that is it. And it's my craft. No one else's, it's mine. So I'm making it mine. And yes, that's a lovely altar. Yeah, that's absolutely gorgeous. But that's your path. That's not my path. This is my path and it's beautiful. It works well for me. It's my focal point that I personally connect to. And I love it. So yes, I hope this helps, and I'm going to stop talking. Over and out. Peace.